Welcome to Marketing MASH, brought to you by themarketingscope.com.
Hi, it's Eric Vidal. Welcome to the Marketing MASH. Today I have Josh Steimle, CMO of MWI, author, speaker. And speaking of author, you just recently wrote a book. Can you tell us a little bit about the book that's coming out?
Sure, thanks. The book is called Chief Marketing Officers at Work, and I interviewed 30 Chief Marketing Officers, CMOs, for this. I got CMOs from PayPal, Spotify, GE, Home Depot, Target, a bunch of top marketers to sit down for an hour apiece, do interviews in this book. And the book is just these interviews verbatim, and so it was fascinating to sit down with them and get insights from really the best marketers of our generation in terms of what they're doing, the technologies they're using, what they recommend for other marketers, how they got to where they are today.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience to do this, and the book comes out in about a month.
Great. And so I'll have a link. We have a link right below so you can click and find it very easily.
Available for pre-sale on Amazon right now.
Perfect. We got that nice pitch. So, Josh, MWI is an agency that focuses on website design, SEO, but over the last few years, you've really focused on content marketing, content strategy, and you speak at conferences all the time about creating a content marketing strategy for a global audience. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So a lot of this started because I moved to Hong Kong 3 years ago, and so that gave our company more of a global focus where we realized there's so much opportunity outside the United States. It's really easy to get into a bubble in the US because it is such a big market. It's such an affluent market.
Sure.
And yet there are so many people outside the United States, and especially in Asia where I am now, we have this emerging middle class that is just growing by leaps and bounds. And so we have 300 million people more or less in the United States. Well, in Asia, we're adding 300 million people every year to the middle class there. These are people who didn't have money a few years ago, and now they have money to spend on disposable items, and they want to buy the things that everybody else in the world has. And so this is a great opportunity for marketers to go in there and be able to sell to these new audiences. But the way that you deliver content in these other markets might be very different than the way that content is delivered in the US or in Western markets.
Yeah.
So that's some of the fun that we're having today.
Yeah, and speaking of fun, I mean, you guys are very diverse, though. You guys have to be able to adjust. You have a very nimble team, especially when it comes to content creation, because I know some of your clients, you have a very wide array or range of clients. Can you name some of them as well?
Right. So we've worked with self-storage clients, like Extra Space Storage is a large one that people may have heard of. But we also work with law firms, orthodontists. We have a celebrity hairstylist, Elgin Charles, that we just started working with.
And everyone argues and tries to fight for that account to write on?
Yeah, everybody wants to work with Elgin because he's a super fun, nice guy.
Yeah.
And he's done hair for all these celebrities in Hollywood and such. And so
he used to do mine.
Yeah. And we have... We've done fun work for companies like Beard Brand is a company that provides products for guys with big, thick, lustrous beards, not me. And those are fun accounts, though, to get on to do some of this B2C work. The B2B stuff's fun, too. It has its own challenges, but we're able to do content creation and infographics and blog posting and Facebook campaigns and all sorts of content for these different clients, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. One of the things, Josh, that you mentioned when it comes to content marketing is helping clients or even the audience or the people that come hear you speak is here's some tips on how you can get your content posted on a brand like Mashable or Forbes or The Marketing Scope or others. Can you share a little bit of that insight with our audience?
Sure. So over the past few years, I've become a contributor for these publications. So I've written over 200 articles for Forbes, Mashable, TechCrunch, Inc., Fast Company, and 10 other publications. And as a writer, I get pitches from people all the time saying, write about my company. I've got this great new idea. It's revolutionary. It's innovative. It's disruptive. We are the Uber of this and that. And so I get these pitches, and I mean, I'm getting hundreds of pitches every week from these different companies, and I have to look at these pitches and decide in 1 or 2 seconds, do I want to look at this pitch or is this getting deleted?
Sure.
Because I can only write about so many companies and write so many stories. So most of these stories get deleted. So what catches my attention? What gets me to write about a company, or at least reach out and say, hey, this is interesting, I'd like to know more. And so over the past few years, having to look through all these, I've been able to identify some things that help with getting noticed and getting into the publications. One is you've got to personalize that pitch, because I'll get pitches and I can tell this is being sent out to 200 people and we're all getting the same pitch. And I don't want to write that story, because what if I write that story and then somebody else writes the same story? Yeah. So I don't want to get a pitch that's just sent out there kind of using this shotgun approach. I want to get a pitch that's only sent to me, that I get an exclusive on. Another thing is I'm more likely to read a pitch if I can tell that the person giving me that pitch knows who I am as a writer. And so if the pitch has little bits of information in there that shows that they know who I am, things like, I saw your story on Forbes. Well, now I know that they at least know enough about me to know that I've written for Forbes and that I'm a writer and not a videographer or something else.
Yeah.
And also, I recommend that people offer something of value. So often people, when they're pitching, they're thinking all about themselves. They're thinking, this is what I want to get out of this story. I need to get the benefit of being in Mashable, and this would be so great for my company in this way or that way. And they're thinking about themselves. Whenever you want something from anybody, you've got to think about what they want and frame it in terms of, hey, this is going to be great for you. And it's not just, oh, this would be so great for you to write about my company. That's just still thinking about you.
And comes across a little awkward, right?
Right. So it's what writers want is they want a great story, first of all, but everybody thinks they have a great story. So when I say offer something of value, I mean offer data, offer graphics, infographics, something like that. Offer not to help with the story, but actually offer the whole story. Write the story out and give it to the journalist, because the journalist has limited time.
Yeah.
And so when you come in and you say, hey, I'll help you write this story, they're thinking, oh, this guy wants to work with me, and I'm going to have to train him on how to do this. But if you just give him the story already written, he's probably not going to publish the story the way that you wrote it.
Sure.
But he might look at that and say, hey, yeah, there are 3 quotes in here from these good sources. I can use that. Oh, they've got some data in here. I can take that out. I'll go verify it, and then I'll see if this data can be used in the story. But when you put the story together, you're doing a lot of work for the journalist that really helps that story move faster, and that makes your story more likely to get published.
Yeah, those are great ideas. I mean, what about just maybe even simplifying it and just having like the ideation process, maybe just bullet points, like a stat, a link to a report, a quote, and then maybe just a call out 2 or 3 lines, even with that.
Yeah. Even that is helpful, because that way, those are the raw building blocks of a story.
Sure.
So if I'm seeing that as a writer and I see that, I say, yeah, I can use these building blocks and I can put this story together pretty easily. Creating a story or writing a story is kind of like playing with Legos. You have a bunch of blocks and then you say, how do I want to arrange these and put these together? And if you provide those blocks for the writer, you're making it that much easier for them.
One of the other things that you've talked about is when it comes to content marketing, don't play it safe and try to work in real time. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Sure. So too many companies get stuck on the editorial calendar and saying, this is our plan and we're sticking to the plan.
Speaking of sticking to plans, so we didn't. That fire alarm, I think, is going off in the background. We didn't. That wasn't part of the plan. So I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there it goes. It's off.
This conversation's so hot that we're tripping the sprinklers. But so too many companies play it safe by saying, we're going to have this editorial calendar, and next month we're going to do 4 blog posts, and each blog post we're going to map out the content for that, and we've got it all planned out. And then something happens in the news cycle that is related to what that company does. But instead of saying, oh, let's jump on that, they say, well, no, we already have our editorial calendar. We're sticking to the editorial calendar. There's no room for just jumping in. You want to have an editorial calendar. You want to have a plan. But you also want to make room for those events that when they come up, you're ready to jump on that, and you have a plan for jumping on that. And so this goes to agile marketing or agile PR, but being ready and prepped and having the systems in place to take advantage of those things that are in the news cycle. So yesterday, Larry Kim had a great presentation where he talked about how he was able, when I think Twitter came out with some news or something, and he spent 10 minutes, wrote a blog post, got it out there, spent $50 on Facebook to promote this to the right audience. He got 250 placements out of that because he was ready to jump on the news cycle, and he had it all planned out. He was ready for it. If you paid a New York law firm $50,000 a month for a year and they got 250 placements, you'd be thrilled. That would be great results.
Yeah.
He got that with 10 minutes of work and $50 on Facebook ads.
You mean PR firm, not law firm.
Yeah, PR firm, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Say law firms.
Yeah, if you got it from a law firm, you'd really be excited. That would be great results.
Well, listen, Josh, thank you so much for sharing some of the insights with our audience. We appreciate it. And remind them of the book that's coming out very soon.
Chief Marketing Officers at Work. It's available on Amazon right now for pre-order. And also you can find me online at joshsteimle.com. That's my blog, my personal website, and I'm on Twitter at the same place, Josh Steimle.
Great. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Marketing MASH. You can share your thoughts by following us on Twitter and Facebook. Subscribe to our podcast to keep up with the show. And of course, you can always find us by visiting themarketingscope.com.